The valley was silent except for the rushing of the river. Rocks jutted out from the ground, sharp and jagged, and the wind whipped through the twisted trees carrying a faint smell of damp earth. Eli moved carefully along the riverbank, his bare feet slipping over stones worn smooth by time. He had learned long ago how to survive on this alien planet. Every day was a test. Every night a battle against hunger, cold, and strange creatures that prowled the forests. At 14, he had no family, no friends, only the skills he had taught himself, and the hope that tomorrow would come. He paused and listened, tilting his head. A faint sound reached his ears, something soft and uneven, almost like a whimper. His pulse quickened. It was not the usual animal noises of the forest. He crouched low, moving silently toward the sound, his eyes scanning the underbrush. That's when he saw her. A small figure lay twisted against a tree trunk. Her skin had a pale green shimmer, and her eyes were large and violet, filled with fear and pain. Her leg was bent at an unnatural angle, and she was struggling to move. Eli froze for a moment, taking in the sight. The girl was clearly alien, part of a species he had never met closely before, but he could see her suffering. His heart ached. Eli stepped closer, careful not to startle her. "Hey," he whispered gently. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The girl's eyes widened and she tried to scramble backward, her hands scraping against the dirt. She made a sound that was almost a whine, a mix of fear and pain. Eli could see that she could not run. Her leg looked broken. He knew that if he didn't act quickly, she could be eaten by predators or captured by hostile aliens. He crouched lower, speaking softly. "I can help you. I can get you out of here." The girl's breathing was heavy, and for a moment she hesitated. Then, seeing no other choice, she allowed him to touch her. Eli carefully lifted her into his arms, noting how light she was, but also how fragile. Her eyes remained wide, filled with terror and cautious trust. He started moving toward the river, knowing the only safe path was across the fast-flowing water. The currents were strong and the rocks slippery. As he waded in, the cold hit him first, biting through his thin clothes. He clenched his teeth and kept going, feeling the water rise against his chest. The girl held onto him tightly, her small arms around his neck, and he could feel her trembling. Halfway across, Eli stumbled on a submerged rock. The girl gasped, but he caught his balance just in time. "It's okay," he muttered. "Almost there." He took another careful step and then another, feeling the river's strength pushing against him. Each movement was a struggle. Every second mattered. If he fell, both of them could be swept away. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath. Birds were silent. Even the wind softened. Only the river roared, threatening to take them down at any moment. Eli thought about all the times he had survived on this planet, all the dangers he had faced alone. But this was different. He was not alone this time. He had someone else's life in his hands, and he refused to fail. Finally, he reached a section where the water was shallower and slower. He set the girl down gently on a large, flat rock. She winced in pain but managed a small nod of thanks. Eli knelt beside her, checking her leg. It was bent badly, but he could see that no bones were sticking out, which was a small relief. "We'll have to get you to safety," he said. "You'll need help, but first we have to move out of the river." He looked back at the riverbank they had come from, half expecting predators to be in pursuit. For now there was nothing, only the forest and the water. Then a sound from the distance made him freeze, a rustling, a faint cracking of branches. Eli's heart raced. He glanced at the girl. She looked terrified, but she trusted him enough to stay close. He didn't speak, only motioned for her to follow as he moved cautiously along the river's edge. The terrain grew rougher, the rocks taller and more unstable. Eli helped her over each obstacle, lifting her when necessary, carrying her when the gaps were too wide. He could feel her fear with every step, but also her growing trust. He talked quietly, telling her about small things, keeping her mind off the pain. "Almost there," he said. "We just have to get to that bend in the river. After that, it's easier." Night fell, and with it came the cold. Eli pulled a thin piece of cloth from his pack and wrapped it around the girl's shoulders. She shivered but didn't complain. They moved slowly, taking every precaution. Eli was exhausted, his muscles screaming from the strain of carrying her and fighting the river's current, but he pushed on. Giving up was not an option. As they neared the middle of the river, Eli noticed movement in the distance. Tiny glimmers of light flickered among the trees on the opposite bank. His instincts screamed caution. "Stay behind me," he whispered, his hand brushing her hair gently to keep it from falling over her eyes. The girl nodded, gripping his arm tightly. Then came the sound of voices, alien voices, deep and commanding. Eli froze, trying to make sense of it. The lights were moving, getting closer, and there were more of them than he expected. He had never seen this species in large numbers. 50 of them, armored and armed, were moving swiftly toward the river. His mind raced. Were they hostile? Were they her people? Could they see him as a threat? The girl leaned closer to him, whispering words he could not understand. Her tone was urgent but not panicked. He realized she recognized them. She was trying to tell him something, but he did not know what. Eli's pulse pounded. He could not outrun 50 alien warriors. He could not fight them all. All he could do was hold his ground and protect the girl. The river beneath them churned as if aware of the tension above. Eli stepped carefully onto the riverbank, finally reaching solid ground. He set the girl down gently, making sure she could stand even if only briefly. She leaned on him, using his strength to stay upright. They were at the edge and there was no turning back. The first rays of dawn touched the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The alien warriors were almost upon them. Eli stood tall, his small frame feeling insignificant compared to the approaching army. He tightened his fists, ready to defend the girl, to fight if necessary. He had survived this planet for years, and he was not afraid now. The warriors stopped at the tree line, their eyes scanning the two figures before them. There was a moment of silence, broken only by the river's roar. The girl stepped forward, her small hand brushing Eli's. He saw hope in her eyes mixed with fear. He did not know what would happen next, but he had done his part. He had saved her from the river, from the predators, and from being alone. Eli took a deep breath. He had no weapons, no allies, only his courage and his wits. The alien warriors moved closer, 50 strong, their presence commanding and powerful. Eli's heart pounded, but he did not retreat. He stood beside the girl, human and alien together, facing whatever came at dawn, and in that moment something shifted. The warriors hesitated. They looked at the girl, then at the human who had carried her across the river. Eli's heart sank and rose at the same time. He did not know if they were friend or foe, but he had already proven something, that a human could be brave, even against impossible odds. The sun rose higher, spilling light across the valley. 50 armored warriors, the crippled girl, and a small human orphan stood facing each other. The river behind them flowed as if in slow motion, carrying away the dangers they had just survived. Eli's eyes met the girl's and she nodded slightly, whispering a word he did not understand. But he understood the meaning. Thank you. The wind rustled through the trees, the river gurgled, and the warriors approached slowly, deliberately, their steps measured. Eli tightened his stance, ready for anything. Whatever happened next, he knew he had done what no one else dared. He had saved a life, and that act of courage would not go unnoticed. The valley held its breath as the first warrior stepped forward. Eli's fists clenched, his mind raced, and the girl leaned on him for support. Dawn had come, and with it the possibility of hope, danger, or both. Eli had survived so far, and he was determined to survive this moment too. The rest of the world could wait. Right now, the only thing that mattered was the girl in front of him and the warriors advancing from the horizon. The warriors moved closer, 50 strong, their armor glinting in the early morning light. Each step they took sent small clouds of dust rising from the rocky ground. Eli could feel their presence like a weight pressing down on him, but he did not flinch. He had faced danger before, but never like this, never with so many eyes watching him, measuring him. The alien girl, Lyra, still leaning on him for support, looked at the approaching warriors with wide eyes, a mixture of hope and fear. Eli tightened his grip on her hand. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'll protect you. No one's getting past me." The first warrior reached them, stopping a few feet away. He was taller than any human Eli had ever seen, with muscles that seemed carved from stone and armor that shimmered in the sunlight. He did not speak at first, only studying Eli carefully. Eli met his gaze steadily, refusing to show fear. Lyra stepped forward slightly, and the warrior's expression softened for the briefest moment. Then the alien spoke in a deep, resonant voice that Eli could not fully understand. Lyra responded quickly, her words sharp but calm. Eli listened, catching a few syllables that sounded familiar from the few words he had picked up from this species over time. She was explaining. She was telling them about him. The warrior tilted his head and then gestured to the others. Slowly, one by one, the 50 warriors lowered their weapons. Eli's eyes widened in disbelief. This was unexpected. He had prepared for a fight, but instead he saw something else. Respect. The warriors were not here to harm him. They were here to witness something they had never seen before. A human who risked himself to save one of their own. Lyra stepped closer to Eli and said softly, "He saved me." The leader of the warriors looked at Eli again. His violet eyes, so unlike any human, studied him carefully. Then he knelt down, not in submission but in acknowledgement. It was a gesture of honor, a recognition of courage. Eli felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had never expected this. No human had ever received such respect from this species. The leader spoke again, and this time Lyra translated. "You have done what no human has ever done. You have saved a life when it would have been easier to run. You are brave and your heart is strong. We honor you." Eli could barely believe it. He felt small, just a boy alone on this strange planet, and yet he had earned the respect of 50 warriors. He swallowed hard, feeling a mix of pride and disbelief. I just did what I had to," he said quietly. "I couldn't leave her." The leader nodded. "That is courage. That is the way of a protector. You understand what we value most. That is why we honor you, human." Lyra smiled, her face lighting up for the first time since Eli had found her. She leaned on him, still weak, but standing taller now because of the warrior's acknowledgement. "He saved me," she said again, and her voice carried pride and relief. The warriors moved closer, forming a protective circle around Eli and Lyra. They spoke among themselves, their words sharp but respectful, and Eli realized they were discussing what to do next. He had no weapons, no training in their combat styles, yet here he stood, accepted and respected. The human's reputation for courage and empathy had reached even this alien species. One of the warriors, a smaller one with scars crossing his face, stepped forward. He handed Eli a small device, strange in design but clearly advanced. Lyra explained that it was for support, something to help her walk properly again. Eli looked at it confused but grateful. The warriors were not only recognizing him, they were offering help in return. As Lyra tested the device, she took a few steps with ease, her injured legs supported perfectly. Eli felt a sense of relief wash over him. She could move now without pain, and the danger from the river and the forest seemed far away. He had done more than save a life. He had preserved the chance for her to live fully. The warriors began to speak again, and Lyra translated, their words almost like music to Eli's ears. They wanted him to come with them. They wanted him to be part of their society, to learn from them, to train if he wished, and to continue protecting life in this world. Eli's heart pounded. He had never imagined anything like this. He had survived on this planet by himself for years, and now he was being offered trust and honor beyond his wildest dreams. Eli looked at Lyra. She smiled at him, a small nod of encouragement. They want you with us," she said. "They see what you are. They know you are brave," he swallowed hard. The thought of joining a species so different from his own was intimidating, but the fear was overpowered by something stronger. Purpose. For the first time, Eli felt that he could belong somewhere, that his courage could make a real difference. The leader approached once more and extended a hand, not just to shake, but to welcome him. Eli hesitated for only a moment before grasping it firmly. It was a simple gesture, but it carried a lifetime of meaning. He was accepted. He was recognized. And most importantly, he was no longer alone. The warriors began to guide Eli and Lyra toward their encampment on the other side of the valley. The journey was slow but no longer dangerous. The warriors cleared the path, and Eli noticed the way they watched him, not with suspicion but with respect and interest. They asked questions through Lyra, curious about his human life, about his survival, about his choices. And Eli answered honestly and simply, sharing the story of how he had lived, how he had learned, and how he had come to care for someone not of his own kind. As the sun climbed higher, Eli realized something extraordinary. His small acts of courage, his willingness to help, had bridged a gap between species. The alien warriors treated him as one of their own, not because of his strength, but because of his heart. They admired what humans could offer: empathy, bravery, ingenuity. By midday, they reached the edge of the warrior encampment. Eli looked around in awe. The structures were unlike anything he had seen, towering and elegant yet practical. Alien technology hummed softly, blending seamlessly with the natural environment. Lyra's people moved with grace and purpose, every action precise, yet now they paused to acknowledge him. Eli felt a sense of pride he had never known. Lyra's leg was fully supported now, and she took tentative steps without leaning on him. She looked back at Eli, her violet eyes shining. "I can walk," she said. "Because of you." Eli smiled, a warmth spreading through his chest. "You did all the hard part," he said. "I just carried you." The warrior stepped aside, giving him space. One of the younger soldiers approached, curious and cautious, and extended a small tool, a gesture of friendship and trust. Eli accepted it with a nod, realizing that even here on a world so alien, he could connect with others through simple acts of respect and courage. The leader spoke again, and Lyra translated. They had decided to offer Eli a place among them, to train, to learn, and to continue helping others as he had helped her. Eli's heart raced. It was an opportunity he had never dreamed of. He could continue surviving alone, or he could join these warriors, grow stronger, and make a real difference in the galaxy. Eli looked at Lyra. She nodded, silently encouraging him to accept. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, ready to embrace this new life. He had crossed rivers, faced dangers, and saved a life. Now he was crossing into something even greater, a world that respected courage, heart, and humanity. As they moved together into the camp, the warriors fell into formation around them, guiding and protecting. Eli felt the eyes of all 50 warriors upon him, not as threats, but as witnesses to a human's bravery. He felt proud, not for himself, but because he had proven something important, that humans, though small and fragile compared to many alien species, could inspire respect, loyalty, and even friendship through courage and compassion. The sun reached its peak, casting long shadows across the camp. Eli walked among warriors, learning their customs, their ways, and their respect for life. Lyra stayed close, smiling and chatting in her language, and Eli realized he was part of something bigger than himself. He had survived on this harsh world for years, but now he had a purpose beyond survival. And in that moment, Eli understood what it truly meant to be human. Not just to live, but to act, to protect, to care, and to inspire. 50 alien warriors had witnessed it firsthand, and Eli knew that from now on, the galaxy would see humans in a different light. He had crossed the river, saved a life, and in doing so had crossed into history, proving that humanity could shine even in the darkest, most alien corners of the universe. The wind rustled through the alien trees, carrying the sounds of laughter and conversation from the camp. Eli looked at Lyra, then at the warriors, and smiled. He had faced impossible odds, and yet he had succeeded. The valley, the river, the dawn, they were all part of his story now, a story of courage, heart, and the undeniable strength of a human spirit. Eli knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders, but he felt ready. He had friends, allies, and respect, and he had proven that even one human, small and alone, could change the fate of others and earn the admiration of 1,000 warriors. As the day went on, Eli moved through the camp, learning and observing, always ready to help, always watching for dangers, always caring. Lyra followed, recovering with each step, and the warriors treated them both with reverence. Together they had crossed the river at dawn. Together they had faced fear. Together they had forged a bond stronger than any armor.